and even I was like, you're if you are Enneagram mate, are you? It's like, dang, dude, coming off brash real quick. Don't talk about Jesus like that. Don't compare yourself to Jesus.
That's funny.
But then the FE kicks in, and then you did a much better job at
Yeah, that's a good diagnosis of that.
the starting off was like, it made me cringe.
That's cool.
But it sounded good afterwards. So strange performance, sir. Strange good, strange as in strange bad good, and then good
Thank you.
performance. Have you ever done?
Well, and then I just want to add one thing. So, in the sense that I don't think God created like ex nihilo. Like, that's not possible. You can't create something out of nothing. Even God can't do that.
Sorry, wait. Say that one more time. You don't think God did
Okay,
what?
hold on.
Created
Now you're
ex
just being
nihilo. Like
difficult.
you can't create something out of nothing. It's not possible. So in that sense, I think God is in the creation in some sense. I don't think he is the creation though. I think you like God could have created through his power. That makes sense because then he's not creating out of nothing. But to say that God's creating out of nothing, I don't agree with that.
Well, what? Okay. How do you know it's not just like?
Yeah, that's a super intellectual like discussion.
Yeah.
You'd have to say, why can't you say you don't think that God is outside of creation and the entire creation in its entirety?
Oh no, I would say that. Like he gives himself to the creation. More like it emanates from him. He doesn't give any part of himself. He's complete in himself. But in the sense that you're talking about just one.
What you're describing is the part of God that is not that all creation is the Father would say all creation is in me is it relies on me, but I rely on none of it. Like it's
right.
Okay, so yeah, you're describing that aspect of God.
Right. So he's one. He's complete in himself. There's no parts of himself. So, like things have being and existence in that they're one. Like the computer screen in front of me, my phone, this like Powerade bottle. Like they're all oneness because I can detach them from other things and call this a Powerade bottle. Like there's in some sense it exists as a separate entity from everything else. And in that sense, that's what God is giving to everything is being, but that's not Him. Those things need to be separated. The one in creation and the one in the one is different.
Well, the creation only appears to be separate from it. It never actually is. Only the belief in the designation of the Powerade bottle or this or that makes it so, makes it the separation seem real.
Oh snap!
Right, but then you're looking at matter and saying that what I'm thinking is not the same as what the Powerade bottle is telling me. Like I would posit that the Powerade bottle is contemplating, in some sense, it's contemplating what God is. In that, in doing so, it creates a being in itself. Like there is a better example would be a tree. So the tree, for example, is being what it is, and in being what it is contemplating oneness. It's contemplating what being is.
So, like by contemplation, you're kind of just talking. You're kind of basically saying the experience of being. It is
Right,
being.
being is intellect. Being is they're the same thing.
So
The contemplation and the object of contemplation are the same.
okay, so I mean, okay, I get you. So that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm kind of trying to say, I guess, through my own words. Is like, so what you're saying is, I mean, couldn't you just remove the word contemplation then and just say it is its very beingness gives it life, or because this substance is is the fabric of God, of what is, then it's all of its fabric is alive.
Right. In some sense, yeah, I agree. I mean, the closest thing to, like, obviously, God being alive is different than me being alive, is different than the tree's life, is different than, the table's life. All those things are different. They're not the same thing. But I agree.
Me being alive. So when you say me being alive, you're talking about like, so having basically the human experience of being alive, right? It's what you're experiencing as aliveness right now.
Yeah, so the human has more psychic powers than the animal does. Like I'm capable, and you're capable of, like, rationalizing, deducting, thinking in that way. Like we can't think in completion. We can't think actively. We think passively. Like we can only think of one thing at a time, and we can't have two things on our mind at the same time. At least, we can in some sense. I mean, some people can, like autistic people have experiences of that. We can think subconsciously and consciously. So it's not, I'm not saying that as like a definitive rule or anything, but when I'm truly contemplating something, I have to get rid of all the other things that I could contemplate about and think about and deduct about, learn about. Whereas within the realm of intelligibility, it's active, and it's thinking itself. Thinking, like the thinker, the thought, and the thinking are all the same thing.
Yeah, and that the distinction between a thinker and a thought, would be silly. Is silly.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
The thinker because the thinker is an illusion. The separation that, like, because thinking is a process, and to say that there's a thinker, you would have to. Can you identify that thinker? Can you identify the one that is doing the thinking?
Yeah, you couldn't think of the thinker separately from the thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. It's true with us that takes place. Like, obviously, I'm a thinker, and my thought is different than myself. But that's just because I'm at a lower register than the intelligible realm. I'm lower than that. I'm partaking in both the intelligible and the world of sense perception. Like I'm in the middle.
I get what you're saying. You can say I'm thinking, but it's only like it has a smaller reality to it. It's not.
Yeah.
You're not. I mean, to say I'm thinking, you're not. Because
right,
again,
exactly.
It comes to the point. Yeah, it comes to the point of.
And I think that point is profound. Like that point is very profound.
Well, that point's profound. Because the whole idea of the person or you has no weight anymore, or doesn't have the same weight.
Right. I'm trying to attain enlightenment of some sort, I'd have to get rid of myself if I'm going to try to totally contemplate something. I have to remove me from it. And you were saying that earlier, and I agree with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The idea of enlightenment is just the idea to get you moving towards yourself, or like to think about you, and then eventually come to the point that you realize you're already you, and you don't need to.
Yeah, right. There's a rational principle within your soul, and that's what you're like it's always there, even if I'm not thinking about it. Like the rational principle in my soul is doing what it does for me to be. But I can try to get there, and once I get there, I can break apart and become higher, at least for a little bit.
When you say break apart and become higher, are you talking about an experience, like what some might call a mystical experience or something?
Yeah, no, I would definitely call myself a mystic. Like I'm a mystic Christian for sure.
But I mean, when you say specifically, I'm asking about the point when you said,
Yeah.
then I can break apart and become higher for at least a little bit. What do you mean by that?
Like you can in contemplating like you, and you get to this rational principle, you are entering the realm of intelligibility. I'm removing my sense perception bit of me. I'm not focused on things outside me, because the things outside me are lower than me. I'm like humans are higher than the animal and the tree and the rock. We're at a higher register than those things. And if I'm oriented towards those things, then I'm oriented to something lower. And those things point to something higher. Like there's truth in the lower things, but it's in the sense that they're participating in something greater than them. And it's just at what tier are you participating in the greater thing?
And no matter what that thing though that is experienced when your attention is not aimed at outer sense perception is still there when you're in sense perception. Like
right.
you can be experiencing sense perception and experience your being at the same time, because your being doesn't move.
I mean, in a way, I agree with that. I don't think you can experience your being in its fullness if you're also, at least actively participating in, the lower things.
That would mean that your being in its fullness has a particular form that you have to. You could have an experience that would reflect a different level of your being to yourself, and it kind of would, so like you could say higher tiered experience or something, but that would still only be a temporary form showing you something of yourself, and then you would still go back to normal.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't remain there. That's what I mean. Like be there for
So the important distinction to make would be, don't regard that experience as being your being in fullness, because it was still just a temporary experience, even though it was of a higher caliber. Your being in its fullness has no particular form. It's always here right now, no matter what type of experience you're having.
Well, that doesn't mean I don't have a form. I would still say I have a form. I'm also participating in matter, if that's what you mean. Like I agree with that, and I agree that the problem with Buddhism and some Platonists that go too far in that direction.
So
Plato didn't say you can enter this realm and then you should remain there and only contemplate these really good things. Like you should look at the good and contemplate who God is, and in doing so you find good in everything else, and then your job as a human is to go out there and bring good and help the good, do good things in the world, like in the physical world. You do good things.
I agree. On one level, I get what you're saying. Like on another level, I want to say, what I would say, the job is to just be, and to not, because if it, and on a certain level, you